Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tom Stewart, and this is Zero News. If you could be so kind before I do anything else, as to give me a sound check, because I'm trying something a little bit different. So if someone give me a thumbs up, find the chat. It's frozen. Hang on. If someone give me a thumbs up that the sound's working, I can get on. It looks like we're having problems getting out. Actually, it's all over the place. Hang on a sec. I hate this. Sorry, I'm having the same problem every time I try and broadcast in this place. I'll give it a couple of minutes. Hang on a sec. Okay, right. Okay, right. Okay, it's working. Sorry about that. My chat froze and everything. I apologize. Right, okay, so we're on. So again, welcome back. Tom Story Zero News. I'm not 100% today, so kind of going to try and make this in and out. I always say that. But there's a story that I started covering, so I kind of felt obliged to finish it. And I said to you about Parler when they put out their statement saying that they would be going elsewhere. And I said, I've seen pirate sites who have broken the law, find it really easy just to swap from place to place. So they hadn't actually done anything wrong. So the idea they wouldn't be coming back would only be if they weren't very big or if there was some kind of legal restraint around them. So when they said that they'd be back about 7 days, I think I said to you, it'll either be quicker or it will be 2 weeks, but they'll be back. Well, sure enough, thanks to Mark, cheers Mark, for letting me know that they actually have found another home already. And I just read you a little bit about what I found out about it. And it just says, after a handful of big tech companies, including Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon, moved to take down Parler over the weekend, the social media platform appears to have found a new home for its hosting its website. Earlier Monday, Amazon stopped providing cloud services to Parler, forcing the website offline. Google, then Apple, removed the Parler app from their stores. These actions brought the planned platform to a standstill just days after it became the most downloaded application in America. So said on Monday, Parler registered its domain and server to be hosted by Epic. Now, I've never heard of Epic. They're an internet web hosting company, and they are known for working with right-leaning websites. One of the websites you would recognize probably the most out of them is Gab. They host Gab websites. Now, I was never particularly a fan of Gab. It's not about it's about who they host or who they won't host. And so they seem to have a right-leaning tendency, which in itself is a kind of shame. And I say that because Parler never put itself out as a right-leaning platform. Parler just put itself out there, and because we've been thrown off of every other platform, it's obvious right-leaning people are going to go there, or as the Hollywood like to put it, the Nazi echo chamber. So Epic put out a statement on Monday claiming it had no discussion of providing future services to Parler. Epic did acknowledge, however, that Parler was working on satisfying the requested terms placed upon them. So the thing is that all these sites are bound by American law in a lot of cases. And this is what I was going to say to you. So you go back to the days of the pirate sites, and what many of you probably didn't know and won't believe until you go and look at it for yourself, which is why I've said to you a million times, if you ever want your own proof, it's all in the Torrent Freak archives. Just go and look for Torrent Freak, and it goes all the way back. And you will see in those archives things like, you search for ISA Hunt. ISA Hunt was one of the big players, not just in sharing files, but also they were taking the government to court because they felt like the government was stopping the freedom of information. And so they were actually taking the government to court, American government. Anyway, they knew they were in a kind of losing battle, because at the end of the day, they knew that by hook or by crook, they were leaving markers to pirated files. Okay, so how did the American government deal with them? How many people do you think, of all these sites that have been taken down, how many do you think have ended up with people spending actual prison time? And tell you, it's not very many. Gary Fung, who run ISA Hunt, ended up being given a check for, I don't know, it was near a couple of $1 million. And for that check, he wasn't going to give up the people who registered with his site. They were all deleted, but he gave up his servers to be seized, analyzed, and deleted. Although someone did take a copy of ISA Hunt, but other sites that had done this just before they'd gone down, they'd given copies of their site out for other people to host. But the American government got wise to this, so they started putting things in place to stop them doing that. Anyway, the point being is, so many people who have run pirate sites end up millionaires because the American government pays them off. And they will just cross over international territory with all this other stuff. They'll just pay them off. And a lot of people will accept. That's why I love the Pirate Bay, because it's an organization and it can't be bought off, or won't be bought off, whichever. And it does apply to all this, because these are sites that it was hard to say whether they'd actually committed any wrongdoing. But these were sites that had terrorist laws used against them to take them down. Parler's committed no such, if there was an offence committed, Parler has committed no such kind of offence. They're just trying to have free speech. They're just trying to have a platform that people can come on. And if it ends up being like right-leaning, there's a reason for that. And it's because all the other platforms are run by left-leaning people. So there's no doubt in my mind it will be back. The question is, will it come back like some of the old pirate sites, which was, some of them used to come back in name, but they'd been gutted out and they'd been wrapped so much up in red tape they couldn't have anything on there like they used to anymore. It just wasn't the same. Or are they going to come back? And I think that this is how they'll come back, because they haven't done anything wrong. Will they come back? Will they be picky? This Epic may get told to go F themselves if they ask too much. They'll find somewhere to host themselves. They're probably looking for the most legitimate place, so that people, because otherwise that'll be another news story if they go and find somewhere that people don't like. So they're probably trying to find the most legitimate place to do it. But if you want to keep your business, you're going to do whatever you have to do. So I wouldn't be half surprised if they end up hosted in Russia, or but that will only prove how far they've been pushed. Anyway, there's something else. So they're coming back anyway. They'll be back. Unless they sell out, they'll be back. And I've got no doubt that they'll be back. So there was something else I saw, and bear in mind, I've been out the loop for a little while, or had been. So this was dated. This is actually dated the 13th of January, but something made me feel that it's possible that this is an older story that someone's re-uploaded. I don't know. Maybe. Hang on. Oh no, it says do not re-up. I thought it said it was a re-up. It's not. It's do not re-up. So maybe it's a new story. If it's not, you'll have to tell me. Right. So I'm gonna read this verbatim, because if I put the sound on, they've already warned everybody about the copyright and stuff. Okay. So bear with. It's about the BBC. Ian Botham. Let me just see actually from your comments. Ian Botham came out and said a few things. Anybody see anything about this? Ian Botham of the BBC? Oh yeah, and Vindicator. Don't let me leave here. I need to mention Vindicator as well. I was going to do that at the beginning and completely forgot. So right. So I'm gathering you haven't heard about it. Okay. So reading this verbatim. Okay. So it says obviously they use the usual headlines you get on YouTube. Shock. BBC humiliated as Ian Botham claims country people, whatever that means, are sick of narrow woke views. So I'm just going to read some of this verbatim. I won't do the whole thing, but I'll read it as much as seems pertinent. So it says, BBC humiliated as Ian Botham claims country people are sick of narrow, woke views. The BBC has been blasted by a member of the House of Lords, Ian Botham, who claims that people from the countryside are sick of the corporation's virtual signalling presenters. The BBC has previously come under fire with critics accusing the broadcaster of adopting a left-leaning bias. No shit. Writing in the Telegraph, Lord Botham said the corporation was doing particularly badly in the countryside, from where many people write to me. He added, they dislike how its corporation increasingly uses its programs to promote itself, the narrow woke views of its senior staff. They say it abuses its power too much, and these urban progressive ideas as if they were mainstream. Citing a recent YouGov poll, Lord Botham explains how only 4% of the British public thought that the BBC had improved in terms of representing their values during 2020. He added that staggering 33% had said that the corporation had become worse. Lord Botham continued, this is an organisation in big trouble. Anyway, I think you get the point. Now, I was at a point of saying to you guys, this silent majority thing is bullshit. I've had enough of it. If they stay silent, what is their point of their existence in terms of us relying on them for anything? And while I'm still got one foot in that, the idea of there being a silent majority was one I was getting to the point of just throwing to one side and saying it doesn't exist. And even if it does, what's the point? What is when you see things like that? And again, I mean, I that's just one person speaking, but you have got some stats thrown up there. When you see things like that, you think, yeah, but that's more in line with how I feel the conversations go on a daily basis. For me, is that people don't like being force fed this stuff. So it's in line with a lot of the conversations I have. So the faith that there's some sort of silent majority out there, I suppose, is coming back a little. However, the faith that they'll stand up and do anything is still not there. There is no reason to believe with one exception, history. History has said this country will take things into its own hands when things get too bad. My worry is where that is. I mean, I just cannot understand where the line is for people. And I don't want to sound like I'm berating anyone, because we've all got reasons and things, but I just feel like lines were breached long ago. And I mean, even for me, I've been trying to be well tempered through this, and I've had a couple of lines now I feel like I've been crossed. And I think the only reason I'm not raving with rage right now is like when I go up the road, as you saw, other than a couple of dickheads, there's not a mass movement here at the moment to get people clamped up behind their door. I bet there would be if it was summer, but it's kind of pretty normal out there. And while that continues, my anger is not as much in terms of this my local area and stuff. But I expect, as I said to you, I'm going to be going to some other place. I expect the further inland I get, the worse it's going to get. We'll see if that's right. But I also feel like I've seen it here before last time, that all of this will provoke a reaction. And I expect that if I keep taking a look, at some point, suddenly there's going to be police everywhere, because that's what happened before. And in case of drastic action, I intend to be there to keep an eye. But the videos I've seen recently have been haunting, and I intend to keep an absolute eye as best as I can. And like I say, and we'll go to some of these other places, partly because of the family businesses and stuff, and partly because I'm one of these people that doesn't trust anything unless I see it with my own eye. And to hear people saying stuff, and to hear stories from people firsthand, for me, or as close to firsthand as you can get, is a lot more powerful than even watching another YouTuber channel, even if I trust that YouTuber, because there's just nothing like it. And I suppose that's what makes me want to do this, and to try and at least offer you to get as close as I am. You're hearing me in real time without cutting and editing, asking these questions. So, the conversations are anecdotal, of course, but we're looking for stats in the meantime. And honestly, the picture that we're building up is a murky one. It doesn't always make sense. It does to a lot of people who feel they need no proof, but someone who feels they need proof, there's a lot of murky areas here that don't make sense. But the ones that do, that are the really easy ones, and it comes down to freedoms, have been absolutely butchered, bastardized, and won't be given back. And that brings me in memory to, so Vindicator's on, or was. I don't know how many channels he's had now. I don't know if we'll get to talk about this, because Dave was going to come on a couple of days ago, and me being me, I crashed out. I think I spent all night trying to get a video going. Are we still running? No, this is just broken. You guys still in the chat? Or are we completely frozen? Freeze. Okay, I'll be right back. Stay there. I'll be right back. Okay, I should be back now, guys. Let me just get back to the YouTube channel. Right, should be back any second. There we go. Right, so sorry about that. So yeah, Dave Vindicator had a channel, a few channels actually. I think he's been taken down or had to delete his channels a couple of times. So he's done quite well getting up there a few times. I don't know how he's got the patience, but I've sort of seen him from afar, and he seems like a real nice bloke. But on top of that, the one thing that, again, I feel the world is short of is straight speaking, honest people who've also got their heart in the right place. Because it's okay to speak your mind and then just trash everybody around you, but it's speaking your mind in a constructive way as well. And I feel like we've had, it's hard to find those sorts of people, and but they have come along, and I'm finding that one by one these people come along. And so I wanted to speak to Dave ages ago, and because of the other drama that was going on around the channel and stuff like that, I felt it was the wrong timing, because I didn't want to give him the kiss of death, so to speak, from the drama that was going on around this channel at the time. I think that time has passed now, as people come to their senses and growing up a little bit. And as a result, I think we're at that point, and David's graciously agreed to come on Zero News. So I think we were going to do it a couple of days ago. As I said, the way I'm feeling today, I'm not, as you may have guessed, I'm not 100% on the ball. But I will speak to him tonight. We'll try and get something on perhaps tomorrow if he's free, or whenever suitable. But I want to speak to Dave about not just this channel, but why he's here. Even the very brief exchange I've had to him, I think he's a guy that you will all appreciate, because we found another guy, I think, that just speaks his mind to the best of his knowledge of the truth, doesn't want to mess about, and believes that, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking for you in any way here, correct me if I get any of this wrong, and believes sometimes you need to take certain actions to get certain results, especially when your freedoms are being taken away. And basically what I'm saying is, we've got another person who's prepared to draw a line in the sand, and that's so important right now. So I want to, so obviously a lot of you are probably already acquainted with Vindicator, but for those of you that aren't, I want to get you acquainted with him, and for us to have a chat, and to see why he came to YouTube, why he's done what he's done, and why he's stuck with it, and all these other things. Because from my perspective, I've been looking at Vindicator as being a player in the future, somebody who I really actually think more eyes should be on right now, because it's so difficult to know which YouTubers to trust. Now, even by me saying that, there'll be so many people out there going, "Oh, I suppose he means me." No, this is the thing. You can't even say a sentence like that without someone thinking you're talking about them. It's just a fact that this is a minefield, but what I've seen is that people are quite, in a lot of cases, quite smart enough to tell who they're dealing with. So yeah, so we'll have Vindicator on as soon as possible, and then obviously, as you know, Bosky's got a repository of stuff that he's been trying to get out, and I think we're frozen again, and we will also try and help him get some of that out. I'm not saying I agree with everything, but some of it I do, and again, it's free speech being taken away, and it's not on. I don't know why we keep freezing. There's absolutely no reason why we should. But it's really beginning to aggravate me. Or my browser's crashing. 1 second. Oh, I see. Today just wasn't meant to be, was it? Unbelievable. Hang on 1 moment. It really just was not meant to be. Right. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, so the other thing was where was I? Oh yeah, so just a quick thing. I know Bolton's about, but if he sees this, Bolton, he got he sent me these microphone things. I've got these wireless mics which I'm using now, and they're like some of the best in the business unless you're prepared to spend like over 500 quid. They're the Rode Wireless Go ones. But you get these uh, sorry, magnets that go on the hold them on better, because one of the worries I had was getting ripped off of me. But I got another couple of magnets the other day and stuck them on the back of the gimbal with using some plastic glue, right? Because one thing they don't think of, they go, "Oh, we'll make it really clever so it clips onto you and it does all this clever shit, make a microphone out of it." But you're still left with the same problem the other end. You either got these boxes hanging out of your the earphone port, which is going to break it, or you got a cable that goes through, which is great, which leaves the box dangling. It's just brainless. So as usual, you've got to do these things yourself. So it's actually holding up really well. So this this setup will hold up if we're like, I don't know if you remember the last time we went to Speaker's Corner, the mics got ripped off, broken, really irritating. So I think we finally cracked it. So hey, it's good to see you, Busker. So yeah, I kind of feel like I've messed up today because I couldn't get my concentration there. I spent as I spent a couple of nights. It started off overclocking and making that video, which I still haven't finished, and just led into a low. Don't get me wrong, good discoveries in terms of upping the quality of what I'm doing and newsworthy things and all these things, but they were all worth it. But I'm absolutely shattered at the end of it. So yeah, I'm probably going to just call it a day for this evening because I am that shit. But we'll be back tomorrow, and like I say, so I'll have a word with Vindicator. I also want to go and have a check on the weather and that, because I want to be getting to the next place tomorrow if possible, and if not, as soon as weather allows, so that we can start talking to some more people. I think the only way you're really going to get a picture of how people feel is to ask them yourself. Do you know what I mean? Rather than relying on, as I said, the internet gives you one set of results, the street gives you another. The answer is probably somewhere in the middle. We need to find out what we're dealing with and what we're up against, and what it will take to get people to question things. You know, so we don't even know any of those answers because we're too busy calling everybody idiots that doesn't agree with us. It's like, you know, and I understand why I'm frustrated. You know, you feel like you've given a body of evidence and it's still not being listened to. But the question is why? If it's just ignorance, nothing you can do about it. If it's stupidity, there's not a lot you can do about that. But if there's another reason, like fear, maybe you can undo it. You know, so that's the goal. Anyway, I'm going to get off. Sorry, it's not been my finest hour. I'm Tom Fury. This is Zero News, and I am going to call it a day for now, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to into the desert.